Hey guys, Jamie here from the Butch Harmon School of Golf, and one of the most common issues we see with bunker shots tends to be a lack of control when it comes to low point in the bunkers. This can be a huge issue because when you can't strike the ball or strike the sand consistently out of the bunker, you're going to get a variety of different shots and you're going to really find it hard to get any kind of control on the distance. So today we're going to talk to you briefly just about how you can get better control and a better control of the low point in the bunkers, and also a quick drill to help you do that. Okay, so the first thing to understand is what is low point. So for me, a very simple explanation of low point is the lowest point that the club reaches relevant to the ball. So for me, the lowest point really wants to be almost directly under the golf ball. We can decide where the low point is based on two things. Number one, how steeply the club is entering the sand, and number two, where it enters the sand relevant to the ball. So if you think of somebody who really struggles with hitting it heavy or hitting it before the ball, what you'll tend to find is that the club will come in way before the golf ball and strike the sand quite a long way before it. You'll tend to get two things. One could be a heavy shot like I described, like a lot of people struggle with, but there's also the potential for the club to actually rise up too early and possibly thin the golf ball or blade the golf ball across the green. And like I said, that becomes a real problem because then you have no real control on where the ball is going. For me, a number of things kind of feed into low point. You tend to see the lower body and upper body moving around far too much in bunker shots. And again, the more they move around, the more likely you are to move the low point into a position that you don't particularly want. So for me, a couple of the keys that I always recommend with players is a very stable lower body. You don't feel a lot of weight shift side to side, and you'll actually really feel like your body and your shoulders are really just turning and turning back to the ball. I don't ever want to see a full swing weight shift forward, because again, the potential for moving that low point towards the golf ball and striking it too cleanly really increases. One of my favorite drills when I'm teaching low point or giving people awareness of low point is a very simple one called the line drill. And basically all I've done is drawn two lines. So I've got a golf ball here and I've drawn one line basically in line with the golf ball, and then the second line runs directly behind it parallel, and what you'll see is it's roughly about 2 to 3 inches behind the golf ball. For me, what I want to see is not necessarily every person to have exactly the same low point, but what I do want to see is the low point that each person creates to be the same with almost every single shot. So if I stand in here, I'm going to picture a little practice ball almost here on the front line. And I'm going to set up with that line just forward in my stance somewhere. And I'm going to try and make a swing that strikes the first line and slides under the second line. So let's give it a go. A nice strike. So we see here very early on I just clip the front line. It really slides under where the golf ball would be on the second line, and that low point or the center of that divot is pretty much bang on that second line. So if we move in again and we do the same thing, we really want to create exactly the same strike. So again, stable legs, turn my upper body, and again we see a very similar divot starting in exactly the same place, finishing in exactly the same place too. So that bodes well for what I'm about to do with the golf ball. Nothing changes. Remember, just because the golf ball is in there, we don't need to be any more aggressive. We don't need to move our body towards it. We want to keep everything the same. So again, ball forward. So the ball is going to be towards my left foot. I've got the face open and I'm going to try and strike it exactly the same way. And again, very, very good. So you'll notice there are 3 divots all starting in exactly the same place. A nice strike out of the bunker and a good shot. So if you're struggling with low point, the first thing to do is try and grasp some of the fundamentals. Ball position a little bit forward, nice and low with the legs and wide with the feet to create that stable base. Less moving, the better. Then I want you to try this drill. 2 lines parallel to each other, roughly about 3 inches apart. Put a golf ball on the first line, the front line, and then you want to strike the back line with the club sliding underneath the golf ball. Give this a try. This should really help improve your bunker play and really help you kind of get some constructive practice in out of the bunkers.